a big deal. I cannot stress to you, the listeners of the syndicated radio broadcast and those watching as we simulcast at prisonplanet.tv in video living color, that Obama's speech last night saying we in the past days have been preparing an international response into Libya. You notice they used the cover of Egypt to move in a couple more aircraft carriers and big task force groups. Oil prices have gone up more than, $27 this week. They're up to $119 right now. We haven't seen oil prices at the gas pump this high since 2008. And they are preparing globalist-backed units in Benghazi to try to invade Tripoli. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that they believe he has nerve gas and high-tech missiles that he's going to try to use. Now, I want to pull back from this and look at the larger geopolitical ramifications, because every political analyst who we have had on this show, we only have people on who've been right about 95% of the time, people who really know what's happening in the world, and folks that their information matches my research, but then they can take us even further because of their specialities in those areas, are concurring. And we're saying years ago, months ago, you've heard them here, that there would be a destabilization campaign in the Middle East, that it was a new kamikaze mode. Instead of just invading Afghanistan or Iraq or encircling Pakistan and inserting special ops, they now caught a CIA guy there, reportedly. The news is saying that he was trying to give fissile material, nuclear material to al-Qaeda. That's groups they control, again, as a pretext to invade Pakistan. I mean, this is getting wild. Now it's 100% clear what's happening. Doesn't mean Hosni Mubarak's good. It doesn't mean that Muammar Gaddafi's good. It doesn't mean that the people running Saudi Arabia are good. No, they're bad. And it's a political climate, an atmosphere, where the globalists can knock the dominoes over. The question is, why do they want that? Now, I haven't talked or even read in the last few days, I probably should have, but I get so busy, what Wayne Madsen thinks about this. I know he predicted a lot of this years ago and again months ago on the show, formerly a anti-submarine warfare expert. Worked then in the NSA and a lot of other classified areas. He's written for some of the biggest magazines and newspapers in the nation, WayneMadsenReport.com. He reports on national security and international issues for major TV stations around the world. And he also reports routinely from what's happening at the National Press Club. So I don't know what he's going to say about what's happening in Tripoli or what's happening in Egypt or this domino effect. Or Saudi Arabia handing out $37 billion in a single day to people yesterday, and the king having to come back to Saudi Arabia from his European pleasure palaces, worried about overthrow. But this, I believe, is the clear double cross of the more friendly Arab regimes, or the more neutral ones, to put things into an order out of chaos situation. And I predicted they would then blame the depression on this, and now I saw headlines the last 2 days that, oh, this is going to kill the recovery. Oh, we're going to have a depression because of this. Oh, the oil prices are going up because of this. No, the underlying situation is dollar devaluation. So for the next 30 minutes, we're joined by Wayne Madsen. Big new developments on the domino effect in the Middle East and North Africa. Africa News reporting, Benghazi units prepare to liberate Tripoli. In liberated East Libya, people are preparing to join units of armed forces that plan to go westwards to rescue protesters in Tripoli from Gaddafi's terror. Gotta love how that's phrased. And yeah, it is government terror. But the point is he's being overthrown so the globalists can have a new war and try to invade the country. Benghazi, Libya's second city, and the focus of unrest, has been a scene of celebrations for the last few days after army units united with protesters and made it the center of liberated Libya. People have danced in the streets, set up fireworks, and even returned their arms to the military as popular communities have brought new order to the city. Oh, aren't they good? They're turning their guns in. The media's like, oh, a symbol of liberty, handing your firearm in. Instead of the American eagle being our symbol, if the globalists could have it, it wouldn't be an ostrich, or it wouldn't be a sloth. It would be a firearm being broken in two. That's actually a UN symbol they push. It's some type of sign of freedom. That's a sign of slaves. Benghazi, again, residents have also followed the horror still unfolding in Tripoli, the capital. They are increasingly receiving messages of desperation from Tripoli. with the population they're asking for help from Benghazi and other liberated areas. So they state here that the entire population says they're under terror. The entire population wants to be liberated. I've seen previous analysis of things in Libya, and it looks like he's 50-50 popular. Not a super unpopular dictator. Not saying he's good. The point is that this is a staged event, and now they want to send in U.S. forces into the country. But just notice how they just, and all over our news, supposedly professional news, they just state these rumors as if they're fact. Oh, he's left. It's the British Foreign Ministry confirms he's on his way to Venezuela. That was 4 days ago. Wasn't true. So we don't know how much of this is true and how much of it isn't. Also in nearby Al-Baida, the people have set up a provisional government that is trying to reorganize the city and provide security. Residents agree on Libyan unity and make preparations to join the fight to liberate Tripoli. So they're calling it Libyan unity, like Obama said. We must all be of one mind, and that is we're going to invade, or at least start bombarding him to help liberate the people, so he can fire off a bunch of nerve gas and destabilize. Oh, by the way, oil prices, crude breaches 119. It went up 9% on Tuesday. It went up over 3% on Wednesday. And now it has surged today massively. So here's the article. Crude breaches 119 in frantic trading. Brent crude reached 119 a barrel during a period of frantic trading as industrial needs were hedged and traders exploited momentum. Worries that reduced supplies from Libya may have replicated in other regional producers facing potential political turmoil. See, this is going all over the world because the globalists are triggering it all over the world. Because, of course, everybody hates the government worldwide. Everybody hates corrupt, stinking governments. Wickedness in high places. Our Congress, depending on the poll, has an 11 to a 9% approval rating. But if a foreign group came in and organized people to start a war against our government, and then people started burning things and taking over, and then a foreign army was going to come in to help us liberate America, why would the foreign army be doing that? Because they were going to put something in worse, something they want in place. Understand what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen? We're going to continue going over this. Charlie Sheen is coming up in the next hour. And this interview is going to Wayne Madsen and Wayne Madsen Report. Wayne, you've heard me in the last 3 minutes break down my analysis of this and the horror of the prospect of UN, NATO, U.S.-backed forces going into Tripoli. Give us your take on what you think.
Well, I still believe that what we're seeing in North Africa, especially North Africa, was triggered by the same forces that triggered the anti-government, anti-austerity moves in Greece, where we had riots there again over the austerity measures, the budget cuts in the last few days. We saw it in Spain. We saw it in the UK. And I think this is what really was seething under all the other problems we had in North Africa. Now, we know from the State Department cables from WikiLeaks that obviously the NGOs, the Soros-backed groups, the National Endowment for Democracy, the Freedom House, and these other NGOs that are always in there trying to stir up the opposition, we're involved in all these countries.
Oh, they admit they are. They're bragging now, Wayne.
Yeah, but I think where they miscalculated is they thought with the Jasmine Revolution in Tunisia and the Lotus Revolution in Egypt that these were going to be soft landing type changeovers like they saw in Ukraine and a few of these other soft revolutions, but they miscalculated because of the unemployment and the high food prices and the disgust, especially amongst the young people, about these regimes. These exploded, and I believe that they're not under control anymore. We know there were signs that Gaddafi last month was thinking about succession. Now, his son Saif al-Islam Gaddafi, I've written about this. This guy was this guy was a sweetheart as far as the elites of Europe were concerned. He's a good friend of Lord Peter Mandelson, the former British business secretary. He's very good friends with Prince Andrew, and also very good friends with Nathaniel Rothschild, the scion of the Rothschild family. This is the crowd he traveled with. He's a graduate of the London School of Economics. But now we heard him defending his father on TV, talking about, you'll be, shot if you are caught with weapons and all this type of thing. This is out of control. I was in Gaddafi's tent in Tripoli in October '09, and it was the 40th anniversary of the coup, which he calls his Green Revolution, and overthrew the king. But I find it interesting, last month, Gaddafi gave back royal property seized from the king's family, this King Idris al-Senussi. Now, the Senussis were from Benghazi, Cyrenaica. That's the area that is broken away. So I believe that Gaddafi probably understood that there were rumblings in Libya that his days were short, and he was looking at succession, possibly a role for the former royal family who he had deposed in '69. Now, we don't know where they stand, but I think it's very instructive that the flag being used by the opposition is the royal flag.
Okay, Wayne, we got you on short notice. You're on your cell phone. I'm going to wait a moment till it comes back and gets a little bit better. But the big issue I want to bring up to you, what do you make of Obama's incredible speech? I mean, this is war under another name. He says, we're preparing an intervention. We're preparing international forces to go in. And now they're reporting, the Wall Street Journal and others, that Gaddafi's, and I believe it, I know he's got it, heavily armed, is going to try to use nerve gas on him. And I mean, this is a nightmare.
Well, the Wall Street Journal, I'm always skeptical about them. They're neocons from the word go. We also have his justice minister who resigned saying that Gaddafi was totally behind Lockerbie, when we know to the contrary it was Iran. Of course, George H.W. Bush found it convenient to blame Gaddafi because he didn't want Iran getting involved with plans to go into Iraq during the lead up to Desert Storm. So there's a lot of people who have left Gaddafi's regime who, for one reason or another, they're sort of like those old Soviet defectors. They always would overstate the threat. Or
it's like all the Iraqi defectors that we now know were paid to lie.
Oh, absolutely, like curveball. So I would take some of what these guys are saying with a grain of salt about Gaddafi having bio and chemical weapons. After all, he allowed inspectors in there under the Bush administration, the last administration, to turn all that stuff over. So these people were obviously trying to score political points more with the Western media. But it was quite clear when I was in Tripoli that Gaddafi, who gave a speech today where he's talking about he's no different than the Queen of England or the King of Thailand, he's just a figurehead. He has no real power. Well, when you first land in Tripoli, you see his portrait is everywhere. Huge portraits on the sides of buildings, over the overpasses on the highways going into Tripoli, in hotels, in lobbies, in offices, everywhere. You find Gaddafi looking down at you, and
kind of like Janet Napolitano on the high-tech right. Telescreens going in 9,000 locations. Another telltale sign of classical corruption in 1984 societies.
Right, and it's clear that this was a dictatorship, a cult of personality like in North Korea with Kim Jong-il. And the other thing I noted is people even close to Gaddafi would talk about him. It was clear that even the people in his regime did not like him. As a matter of fact, I asked him when I was in his tent, I said, what's with that guy? I know he doesn't drink, but he's clear is he on medication, thinking maybe the guy's ill, and they just smiled. He said hashish. Apparently, so he said today, oh, these kids out there involved in the rebellion are on hallucinogenic drugs, when he should look in the mirror and he'd see the picture of somebody who's on drugs. You can look at him, Wayne, and tell that he's on some hardcore drugs. Yeah, it has been for quite a long time. Now, back when we had an Air Force base in Wheelis outside of Tripoli, now he threw that base out in '69 when he took over, but when he was Sergeant Gaddafi, he used to make regular runs up to the Class 6 store at the base. That's where the booze place, and he would load up his gin and scotch and haul it back to Tripoli. Now, he said it was for the senior officers in the King's Army, but I also heard from people who were at Wheelers that he grabbed a few of those bottles for himself. So Gaddafi is an